from DNA Behavior. I'm delighted that all of you are spending the next 1 hour or so with me to discuss behaviorally smart succession planning for advisors. It might be a good idea for each of you to mute your phone or your computer links so that no background noise comes in. But I also invite you, as I am presenting, if you want to stop and ask me a question, then unmute yourself and ask it, or put the question in the check box, in the chat box, I should say, and I will answer it as I go through, because it's always good to have questions. If one has a question, normally the issue is on somebody else's mind as well. The topic of succession planning is a big one out there in the financial services industry right now, and for a couple of years some of the bigger firms have been trying to address it, and I know for advisory firm owners it's always a big issue and something that has to be addressed, because in reality succession planning, if you're a firm owner, is the biggest decision of your life. Starting the business is an important decision, but a lot of the time for many of us, and I know from my own experience of being a business owner, sometimes you just jump in out of passion and you scramble around for a while and you start to build the business, and then you realize, well, gee, I've got to do something with this now. How am I going to harvest the value for the money that I put in, and more importantly, all of the time? And then the questions come up, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? How am I going to manage this, manage my family? Lots of issues start to come up once you're into the business. And it is important that as an advisor owner that you create sustainable value the whole way through. So, I would say that starting the business is one thing. In a way, that's the easy part, even though that can be difficult and traumatic for some. But selling it is an even bigger issue. And it's really like any investment. Purchasing is one thing, purchasing at a reasonable value, versus the whole notion of selling that investment. So how you make the sale is very important. So I've emphasized that a lot today already, and that's what I'm going to focus on in the presentation today, is really a practical process for addressing succession planning. I'm not going to get into issues like valuation, because there are valuation experts out there. I am a human behavior expert, and my real point with this is about helping you to understand the human behavioral dynamics that are involved and how that will affect how you build the business and the value inside it. And that is, the understanding not only the behavior of your clients, but also, importantly, your own behavior and your own financial personality, how that potentially can get in the way. So I'm taking more of an inside-out approach to this, because there are plenty of other people out there who know what a business is worth, how to negotiate the sale of the business. That's not the part that I'm coming from. But I am going to make this presentation, as I said, very practical. There are a lot of succession planning scenarios out there, and they range from bringing in a partner and selling the business from what I call the inside, or selling to an external party, bringing in new employees who take on a greater role and eventually become partners. And for some, it's just a matter of transferring their clients and walking away, for those who haven't really built a business. And to start off with a bit of a story around this, recently I was helping a firm with this, and there was the advisor who had been in the business probably around 20 years, and he had 5 employees. He actually inherited the business from his father. The business had 5 or has 5 employees, and he 50 years old, and he's making somewhere north of 500,000 a year, but not a million. So it's in that area, and I'm sort of trying to protect the innocent here a little bit by not getting too specific on the numbers. But you can appreciate he's built a reasonable sized business. It's more than sustainable, but it is completely around him. It's a lifestyle business, and he thinks now that after 20 years in the business that he has worked out how to do it. He wants to grow the business substantially and is looking to bring some experienced people into the business. And this is really where I started to come into play here. And so if you imagine that the advisor is this gentleman here, and he's a strategist type profile. He's quite fast-paced, very results-driven, extremely rational-orientated person, very planned. In fact, he's also got some of these traits here, quite take charge and also very reserved. Characteristic with this type of person, he has not really done any marketing. He has been quite internally focused. He's taken the referrals that have come from the existing clients. He's not built a public image for his business at all. And he's then looking to bring in this person here, who's more of what we call a community builder, actually dead opposite to him. And the key thing is this person was coming out of a larger firm with a reasonably secure income, the opportunity to make bonuses from the work he's doing, into a fairly unsecure environment. And what in the end he was looking for is, well, what's my growth path going to be? Not only as a career and as a life, but financially. And to start with, he's got to take a pay cut to come into what might be a better life from being in the larger corporate banking world. And so that's a significant issue for him. And then you've got the current owner who's got to open up his life and his books to someone coming in. You can imagine that there's a lot of fear with all of that has to be navigated. You're one who now is coming out of the box and wants to drive the business forward, and you've got another that, wants to have a nice lifestyle, wants to work hard, but needs a lot of security as well. And, the issue in the end of the day, it came down in this one, was the fact that he hadn't really built, even though he got a good income stream, he hasn't really built a sustainable enough business to make it comfortable for somebody else to come in and grow. He didn't really have the marketing plan, the community leadership that's needed. And so what he could see is, well, I'm going to actually have to end up doing the marketing to grow in here. And, some of you might say, well, that's what you've got to do. But you've always got to do sales and marketing. But what the real problem was is that there wasn't enough of a structured business. It was fine for him as a lifestyle business, but not a structured enough business for him. And he also didn't feel comfortable that if there was ever a market blip and the revenues went down, would the current owner keep sustaining the business? What income does he want to keep pulling out? And, he holds all the cards. So these are all big issues when we're dealing with succession planning with firms. It doesn't really matter what the size of the firm is. Some of these issues are always very prevalent. So a lot of what I'm getting at here is that we've got to help firms build a more sustainable business. And when you bring people in, there are human dynamics involved. And when you're dealing with the clients, there are human dynamics. So a lot of the issues around succession planning involve human dynamics. And how that behavior gets managed is very, very important. So, when we're talking about succession planning, obviously there's a financial objective, is to achieve a high and hopefully a fair business valuation. There are, of course, some out there who have got a financial personality. Associated with that is greed, and it's always easy when there's money on the table to want to grab the most, but it's also, you've got to leave room for the next person coming in as well. But you want to, you do want to build a good business valuation for your business. And then the other issue is, what are you going to do for your life when you sell out or you bring others in? What does this look like for your ongoing quality of life? And this is one of the biggest barriers to people getting engaged in succession planning. What am I going to do next? And I'm sure some of you have advised business owners as part of the financial planning or wealth management process on that. And it's pretty scary. But, you know, as an advisory business owner, you've got to address that for yourself. And so some of the risks, you know, to the valuation and to your quality life, you know, lie down here as well that have got to be addressed. You know, what happens when you bring others into the business or you sell out? Relationships can be lost. The clients may not get served as well. People always worry about what's going to happen to their clients, or at least the good people do. The advisory team can become disengaged through the succession planning process. And revenues through really points 1 to 3 there, then the revenue sustainability can drop down. And, you know, quite a lot of the time, the payout that you're going to get, or however that is going to work contractually, is going to depend on the sustainability of revenue. So, you know, these are all important issues that need to be addressed in succession planning. So I sort of build a picture here that what we've got to look at and start doing to help you with succession planning is the process has got to start, in my view, 3 to 5 years ahead of when you think you might want to sell, or at least put yourself in the place of selling. You may not sell for 5 or 10 years more than that, but let's assume that you've already built some business up. It's now about you know, planning for it, and it's not going to happen overnight. You can't just say, well, I want to sell in a year's time and expect it all, you know, to fall into place. The magic wand does not work that way. So you've got to, if you want to build sustainable value and get a good exit price for your business, create wealth for yourself, you've got to start doing this very early. And now one of the key starting points is understanding the differentiation of your brand and what's the value proposition for your service. Those things are fundamental. How does your business going to stand out? You know, what's the value you bring to your clients? What are they paying for? Those things are very important to understand. And then it comes down to systemization of the advisory process and all of the business processes, and then working on how do you enhance the client relationship management side of the business to ensure that the clients and their family members will remain emotionally engaged with your practice and will want to continue with your business even though you may not be there or you may not be serving the clients all day. So that's very important. And then you've also got to address the business risks, the industry risks, and the behavioral risks as well. So if you don't do these 3 things, then you're going to get left down here with what is a lifestyle business versus a real business that's got inherent value. So some of the issues that need to be addressed, and if you're the owner, do you really want to retire or do you want to refire? And you know, what I'm getting at here is that some people have a desire to retire. They get to the age of 60 or 65 and they just want to walk away. Others, you know, are looking at succession planning as an opportunity to build something bigger and remain part of it for the longer term, even if they're not doing all of it all the time. And this does get down to your personality, you know, what your financial capacity is, what you want out of life. We're all different. Some people do just want to, you know, they work to live, and once they've got enough, they want to walk away. That's fine. There's no judgment here, but I think the biggest issue is being clear about what you want to do and what your own life purpose is and what you want to do with your life. You know, and this sort of plays into the second one. What is your desire to build a sustainable business? Because building a business versus a lifestyle business does involve a lot more risk. You've got to put more money into the marketing, technology, the processes, the community development out there. So there's more risks financially and of your time, as opposed to the person I was talking about at the start, who had just built a lifestyle business and hadn't taken any further. He hadn't taken any risk. And in a way, he was expecting somebody else to come in and take the risk. and that's not necessarily equitable either. So you've really got to dig in deep here and think about how much risk am I prepared to take to build that sustainable business, because there is some. It doesn't need to be a fortune, but there is some risk there. As the business owner, are you a leader or a great planner? Why have you made money up to now? It may well be because you were good at the planning work. You built some processes around that. You're a good thinker at solving client problems. But does that mean that you can lead a business? Often it does not. Being a great leader and a leader of people, inspiring them to move forward, building a business, attracting in the clients is not necessarily equated to being a great planner. So you've got to sort that out for yourself. And some of this is just about belief in yourself. Do you want to be a leader, or do you want to be a great planner? And that's something that you've got to decide. We all can be great leaders if we want to be. Some people are naturally good at leading and maybe not as much into details and the processes. But we all can be a great leader if we want to be. It's just a matter of what do you want. Then, looking at your team, do you have round pegs and round holes? And, this is a big issue for a lot of businesses. I was helping one of our consultants out the other day with a business succession planning issue, and this was the problem. The two owners were looking to fire one of the longer-term employees in the business, and because that person actually was did a good job, but rubbed them up the wrong way, and trust had started to get breached, and they just didn't know whether they could go forward with this person anymore. And so understanding as you're going to grow all the roles that are needed in the business, what the talents are for each of the roles, and have you got the right people on the bus is very, very important to all of this. If you've got a business partner, do you have a healthy relationship with that person? Can you now build your business with that person? That's important. Is there a management succession plan in place? What happens if something bad happens to you and you can't operate the business? And then, you've got to look at the levels of client engagement with the current team and the service that's being delivered. Are your clients happy with the current team? If you weren't there, would the clients still want to come to your business? Are they, engaged in what your firm does? Is it high-quality service? So some kind of client feedback process is probably a good exercise to do with that. And ultimately, the proof in the pudding is, will the client stay if you as the advisory owner leave or step back? And that's really what you've got to work towards, because you want that to be yes. Some industry issues that I think are important, because we're talking here about building a business. It's not just a lifestyle business. You've got to have you've got to build a business that is sustainable. And one of the things we've got to recognize these days is that client engagement begins earlier. So if you're going to start marketing to bring in new clients, then you've really got to look at that marketing plan, because yes, referrals are important, and that is the #1 source typically for attracting clients. But client engagement, I think, and sales these days is different to what it was in the past. It's very relationship-based. It can take quite a long time. People look at you for a lot longer than you would ever imagine. And so, how you present yourself is very important. The issue that's, I think it's been talked about in financial services in some way for 10 years now, but is commoditization of financial planning, wealth management, and investment management. There is fee pressure. People have trouble distinguishing between you and somebody else. And, how do you bring value? And this gets down to differentiation. There's a lot of fee pressure, and that comes with the commoditization. And, now there's a discussion starting to emerge that assets under management fees, will become a lower proportion of the fees of those firms that survive. And I think it gets down to value. You know, if a client really looks in and understands what you're doing, is the assets under management fees fair value for what you do? And I know planners that are making 30, 40, 50,000 a year off some clients, and they absolutely know in their heart they probably should only be getting 10,000. And in fact, 10,000 would be more than enough money at a very high charge-out rate charged by a professional services firm. So I think this is a big issue that you've got to address as you're going to build your businesses. You know, technology is important, the regulatory compliance. Then you've got the topics, you know, that we deal in a lot. Behavioral finance is emerging. You know, how we understand the financial personalities of the client. You know, building service models around that. People are looking for a lot more meaning in life, so they're not just sitting in front of you to ask about rates of return. And you know, when you start talking Generation X and then the millennial type clients, they're going to want to direct the process. They're not just going to come to you and give you all of the money. So as you plan succession, you've got to strategically address these issues for where your business is going to be at least in 5 years' time and on an ongoing basis. So one of the things that we address or bring to the front at DNA Behavior is the fact that, you know, when we start talking about business performance issues, and this is, you know, true for a financial advisory business or a financial services business, when you really look behind the numbers and you look at the issues there, 87% of the business issues that you have are people related. And, you know, that we can be looking at the business issues around leadership, client engagement, service execution, and the planning process, which are all relevant for succession planning in some way, as I've been describing. But this gets down to the human beings, and starting with your behavior and the behavior of your team, and the mix in your team are absolutely fundamental to your success. And that's why I'm doing this webinar today, you know, around behaviorally smart succession planning, so that all of you are left with a very clear message that human behavior is absolutely crucial to the outcomes of succession planning. And in simple terms, this is what I'm getting at here, is that you can, you know, you're this advisor and you're a strategist like I was describing at the start, and you've got all sorts of different client styles down here that you've got to deal with. The fact is, this is really what I call the spaghetti syndrome. If you as a strategist advisor have to deal with these 4 different client styles all of the time, it's going to be hard to keep all of them engaged, because each of these clients is different to you. You'll do well with some of them, but not all of them. And so here, you know, for this advisor, being a strategist, he'll do okay with this client here, and he'll do okay with this one there that wants information. But, and this is more of a goal-setting type client, but when you've got clients that want lifestyle or their feelings to be understood, he isn't going to do so well. He can't emotionally engage all of the clients. And so it's always interesting for an advisor to look at the mix of behavioral styles in the client base to see where are the client relationships that are more profitable, energetically easier to handle. You can't handle everybody, and you know what we've seen is that one advisor can really only emotionally engage 40% of the universe. So what about the other 60%? And this is where you've got to build a team with different people there to help you handle those client relationships. And so this is why understanding human behavior and getting behavioral insight is very important. You know, and what's the benefit of this type of approach? And this is what we've been seeing based on our own research, and there's Gallup research, and I could point you to plenty of other research that, you know, by adopting this sort of more inside-out behavioral management approach, you can increase the revenues from clients by having them more engaged and deeper relationships by 23% a year. You can unlock human potential of the advisor if you start dealing, you know, your productivity can increase by dealing with clients that you've got a better behavioral match for. If you get the right team in place, who again is matched to the clients, and you can improve the service execution. and then at the end of the day you can get a higher equity value, and that is because you build a better business all the way through over the next 3 to 5 years, but also because importantly what's predicated with this is that there will be a higher level of client retention, which is then driving the equity value when you pass on the reins of the business to somebody else. So we've developed this program for succession planning that involves all of these steps. There are what I call 5 core phases, and I'm just going to talk about each one a little bit now. But as I've said, you've got to establish the role and future of the owners there now. You've got to do an initial review of the current team. You want to build a database of the client styles that you've currently got and for matching your team to the clients. Then we need to bring in more of a behavioral management approach to the financial planning process. So really here is about enhancing the financial planning process so that you can make the fees more sustainable and enhance the client retention opportunities. And then it's about your personal development in how you engage the team and your leadership. And so we have 3 product solutions for that, being financial DNA, business DNA, and communication DNA, that would all get used in these phases. So the idea behind our DNA systems, and that's why we call it business DNA behavior, is really here. What we really want to understand is the natural DNA behavior of each person. That starts with you as the owner, and then of your clients. This is the behavior that is, once measured, can be much more accurately predicted. It's how a person will behave over the longer term. It's where they're going to be more comfortable. Often what we see when we meet a new person is the learned behaviors, but they can change. And that's what we really want to move away from. When you're hiring somebody, you don't want to know who they say they are. You want to actually know who they are. And that's the same with the client. So that's why our whole methodology is really built around understanding natural talents and how, on the client side, how they're going to behave under pressure. I can hear someone working away at their desk, which is fine, but it would be good if you can mute your phone because the paper movement's coming through, which upsets maybe some of the other listeners. So I'll appreciate that. Thank you. So, phase 1 here is, what is the financial personality of the owner? And this is, the case study I used, Chris Coddington. And in fact, I started out with a case study, and for that individual I started out with, along with Chris here, pretty similar sort of styles here. This is the strategist profile. The individual actually is a risk taker, got a pretty high risk tolerance, very results-driven, pretty goal-driven. Not that relational. So, he's built the business, and he's prepared to take some risks, but as I said at the start, he hasn't completely taken all of the risks in the case study I referred to at the start. Chris Coddington here is more of a risk taker, and is likely to take a chance in building a business. And, very ambitious here as well. So this is someone that would want to build a business. And we know this information, and you can also learn this about your clients from the completion of the financial DNA natural behavior discovery process. There's 46 questions. It takes 15 to 20 minutes to do, and it's uncovering the owner's instinctive behaviors and talents. So we produce this information these days in one page just to get a snapshot because it makes it more understandable. We also have a 5-page report that tells you all of these things in terms of the natural behavior style, the financial behavior biases, strengths and struggles. This part's very important when you're going to look at how the person's going to actually, in the end, navigate the succession planning process, what they want out of life, their risk-taking. This is also a client-driven report as well. Second part of what we do with an owner when we're looking at succession planning is to look at not only their natural hardwired behavior, but what do they want for a quality life? Where is their life at now? Where are they personally at, and where do they want to be in the future? So this process here is intended to cover these 8 areas, life purpose, where they want to be with a career, their relationships, health, recreation, community involvement. So it's getting a holistic picture of the owner's life right now. And this is what it looks like. This is just an extract from the report. It's a pretty simple process. It's quite fun to do. And also I think this is something that you could be getting your clients to do as well. But today we're focused on succession planning. So the advisory firm owner needs to do this to understand what's their life like now and where do they want to be in the 3 to 5 years' time when the succession event would take place. Also, life purpose is very important. Understanding who you are at the core. What's the calling for your life? To understand that is very, very important. This is very deep-rooted stuff. It's not just about understanding your talents and essentially, the activities you're good at, but what's your passion? What's your unique gift? This is going to be here, the driver of your business forward. What's that one activity that you can do really well that's going to build sustainable business value and you're fairly unique at? What's the vision that you want, the mission, how you're going to do it, and then your values. So we have an inventory that takes 20 to 30 minutes to help you do this. So this is in addition to the natural behavior discovery, but this is the output. Because this is what's going to get you really centered. If you do this now, 3 to 5 years out from the succession event or planned succession event, this is going to get you centered to build the business based on your purpose, not somebody else's. It's going to provide that real clarity. And ultimately, believe it or not, that's what leads to the business growth. So now that you've done your personal review and you want to build a business, now you've got to look at the people inside your business. If you've got a business partner, then it's good to run them through the natural DNA behavior discovery process as well. We would use our business DNA tooling for this, produce a comparison report to see what your differences are. And so for Chris Coddington, he had a business partner here, John, who's quite opposite to him, a very loyal guy that was a good foil for him in building the business. So, this is actually a good ongoing partnership, even though, Chris is the real driver of it. Chris has got to understand is that he can't overwhelm John at times, and that John might be more cautious than him. Down here would be important, not as goal-driven. He's got to look after him because John could be the backbone of the business while Chris goes out there and gets it built. Here it's a little fuzzy, but this is an extract from one of our team reports, and what we want to do here, this is just one page of it, but you want to look at all of the different talents in the team, and again, it's about building the right team alignment. Where are the strengths of your team and where are the gaps? Ultimately, you want to build a team if you're going to make your business sustainable with a whole lot of different talents inside there. You do not want all of the same in the team. Often what you see is the owners are all one style, and you've got a range of different styles through the team. You've got to get that right balance. And then the client experience management part's the next part. I think this is one of the parts that many advisors and bigger firms have missed. When you sell your business, effectively you are selling the clients. The relationships all walk out the door, and that is with the client, which could be the husband and wife that you've interacted with, but so does the opportunity with all of the children as well. And if you haven't documented the client relationship, and I'm not talking about putting someone's date of birth and what they enjoy doing into the CRM system, if you haven't fully documented who they are, how they respond to difficult events, the choices that they're going to make, then really when you sell your business, you're leaving a lot on the table, and you can't expect the next person coming in to be able to take that over. So, what I advocate is that we get a DNA profile, or if you use another system, get a behavioral profile of all of your clients and get that database in your CRM so that whoever comes in after you knows how to deal with those particular clients. So if we look at here for the Coddington team, and Chris Coddington's got these clients here, he now knows from his CRM system and this little report which ones are similar to him, which ones are different. And as he builds out his team and maybe brings in, another team leader or business leader, he could start to allocate out the clients, but he also knows which ones he's going to serve better as well. And I think if the only thing you did, from today's call was have every one of your clients do a communication DNA assessment, it only takes 2 to 5 minutes, and you answer 12 questions, do it online, and get all of your clients to go through this. And get this report so that you know how to navigate them, then that is a great step forward. And what we're really doing here is, this is sort of more corporate language, but we're building a corporate memory bank for your business so that then you can match your team to the clients and then ultimately to the solutions offered, because how your clients are going to respond to the financial planning products and solutions out there is a function of their behavioral style as well. So we can do that, very easily with a database type approach, and this is what it all starts to look like in a CRM system. So it's quite powerful if you can click into your Salesforce system or Redtail and pick up this kind of information and then even get it on your mobile phone as you're walking out to a meeting. And so we can make that integrate real time. And then now we've got a sort of a snapshot of who all the clients are. You've got them engaged, and even you've done the process I just described all the way down through to the children. Now it's about how do we build a better financial planning process around knowing the client's deeper financial personality. And this is where I suggest you get each of the new clients that you will have coming in to complete the financial DNA natural behavior discovery upfront. Once they sign the ADV type agreement or your contract, start the financial planning process. So at that fact-finding point, have them complete financial DNA, 46 questions taking 15 to 20 minutes. That isn't really any more time than the better risk profiling tools out there, but you're getting comprehensive financial personality information on the client to behaviorally manage them. And one of the innovations that we've brought into DNA behavior that's starting this month is that we've built a behavioral management report that is basically a report for the advisor that shows you from your behavioral style as an advisor how to guide a client through the financial planning process based on who you are and who they are. And so, that's an important step. With this for the existing clients, this is why you've got to, start planning the succession event, at least 3 years out, is that you want to get all the existing clients to go through this, let alone, and it's not just about DNA, it's also building all of the business processes that involve DNA and the many others that don't involve DNA. It takes you that time, but what I suggest is at client reviews for existing clients, you could get them to complete this. For some of you, moving your role from just an advisor, wealth manager, to that holistic guide of the client could be where you want to go. And I'm talking more and more to advisors these days that want to build additional revenue streams beyond the assets under management in their business. They want to distinguish them, separate themselves, and even have another division in their business that deals with issues like family dynamics or financial education, that type of thing. For some, it's a client gathering exercise. For others, it's because they're passionate, about the human side of financial planning. So the Wealth Mentor program can provide a structure to engaging the clients at that deeper level to make the financial planning process better, but also to charge more ongoing fees, because really what we're doing is bringing coaching here to the financial planning process. And we're using a very structured system, to help that along, which delivers tangible value. so the clients, can somewhat see very clearly what they're paying for. So let's assume that now in your business that you have improved the financial planning process, you've deepened it, you've expanded the opportunities to get fees, you're keeping the clients retained. It's now really about, managing yourself through this process and managing the team and building that team out. And as I alluded to before, you need to have different talents on the team. You need, to then understand them. It's one thing to have the different talents there, but how do you work with different people? So if you don't understand the people, ultimately there isn't going to be any acceptance of who they are, and there's not going to be respect, and this is really when people start to leave. Once people don't feel understood, they're not being treated for who they are, respect starts to go down, and they leave within a few months. You've got to have everybody committed to a goal. So everyone's got to understand what the goal of your business is. It's got to be very clearly articulated, documented. We use a traction business planning process in our business. It's fantastic for getting everybody to sign up to, the one-page corporate plan, and everyone knows what their metric is. It's a much better way of handling business growth, and you get clearer communication. It's not about making people feel like a number. It's about, treating, bring both dimensions, the human dimension and showing people what the reward is for performing. Then it's about hiring. You may well need to hire additional people for your team. You may need to rearrange roles. And, we have in our Business DNA suite a hiring report that really brings out, what are the tasks that somebody is going to be good at doing in the business. So you've got to align that to the role. That could be helped along with the benchmark, and we do that. Where does someone want to fit into the team? What's the work environment they want to have, and what's the working reward? Not everybody that will work for you is there for the most amount of money. There are other things that you can give them to retain them. Then it's about your leadership, and I think this is something that, I've really, as a business owner myself, I've really had to see that if I want the DNA behavior business to succeed, Hugh has to be a leader. And I go through this process every year, and not bragging, I have seen a dramatic improvement in my own leadership, and it's not just what I think of it, it's what others think of it. Over the last 8 or 9 years that I've been active with this. And leadership is something that you have to want to do. I mentioned at the start, do you want to be a leader or a great planner? And if you're going to grow a business up and out and build sustainable value, and you are the owner and you're at the top of the pile there, you have to be the leader. You can't abdicate that. If you're going to abdicate that, then you may as well be selling out and bringing somebody else in, which is succession in its own right, that you have to deal with. So we do a Leadership 360 process that should be done every year, so that you can really identify and see your impact on others. And, it's anonymously done, but this is very, very, vital to your development, and it can be very rewarding. And we also have an advisor one, which can be used for your advisors on the team, and if you are a lead client advisor as well, where the clients basically evaluate you and your behaviors in serving them. And what this will really do is will expose whether you are communicating properly with the clients, treating them fairly. Are they emotionally engaged with you? Are they comfortable with the service you're offering, your approachability? And again, a lot in the industry we talk about client satisfaction. It's really client engagement. Client satisfaction is really tick the box stuff of, have you done the job properly? Have you got things filed on time? Are you getting, the rights rates of return that you say you would that you say you will get? It's the rational stuff. But the client retention is going to come down to the emotional engagement side of it. That's very much the human side. And, you could have done a great job for a client, but they will still leave because they are comfortable talking to somebody else about their problem. And that's so often what happens for advisors. They've done a great job at getting a client set up over 1 or 2 years, but in years 3 to 5, they lose a lot of the clients. And they don't even know they've lost the client. And the clients are sort of sitting at the door waiting to go, and then when the moment comes to that they meet somebody else they're comfortable talking to, that they've shot through. And that's what you've got to protect against. So in wrapping up today, I've given you a lot of concepts. I've given you a lot of things to think about, and I've given you a process. And I didn't want to make today totally a sales pitch, but I also sort of feel it's not very productive if you don't get any sense of what is doing this cost. And there are lots of ways to start the succession planning process. Some of you may already be partly way through it. Some of you may already have coaches or consultants that are helping you. And it might be that just DNA, can help with one aspect of it. So, but if you are at that scratch position with this, then one way to get started and to be able to get exposed to a lot of the tools that I've talked about and implement them in your business, you could participate in our Certified Wealth Mentor training, and there you would learn, your own financial personality, how to uncover that for your clients, your life purpose, and some strategies for building out your business with some different processes to differentiate it. So you can do that and start to get your clients through the discovery process at this level, and that's really coming from the training program. And then if you want to take it further in future years, then these are the costs just using our system. They're not really the consultant costs. If you want to have a consultant or a coach work beside you, that would be more. But one of the points I made earlier was if all you did was just get a communication DNA done on every client, so you could document that in your CRM and know how to engage each client uniquely, then this is just $500 a year per advisor in your business. That is not a lot of money, given what all of you are dealing with. If you're trying to build, million-dollar businesses, this isn't much to get some of those issues addressed. It's a small insurance premium, and that's partly why I put these costs here, because building a sustainable business does cost money. You are probably going to need help if you're going to move it beyond being a lifestyle business, and you will need, coaching and consulting help. And I know a couple of you on the call are in the business as well, of doing that. And it is an investment, but you can do some parts at a lower cost, level if you want to help yourself. I advocate that you should have some coaching and consulting as well, whether it's from us or somebody else. It doesn't really matter to me. What is important to me is that you build a business that has the greatest amount of value. But I think there are some things that we have here that are quite simple to do, that can be done for a relatively low cost, that will build a value that is far greater than what it's going to cost you. So that's really all I've got to present today. I don't know if anyone's got a question that they would like to ask me, but if you do, please please speak up. Or if anyone would like to make contact afterwards to talk with me about the presentation, some of the concepts in here, because I know I've put a lot before you, please do so. This wasn't meant to be a training session as such. It was more meant to introduce you to the depth of succession planning and what you've got to do, and the importance of behavior in it. So if I don't have any more questions, I wish all of you good luck and look forward to talking with you soon about the growth of your business.